Welcome back to the deep dive. We are doing something a little different today.
Yeah, we are.
Usually we take a piece of research or, a news article and we kind of swim around in it. We look at the data, we look at the
Get into
trends.
the weeds on the numbers.
Exactly. But today we are looking at a blueprint.
And I think we need to be very specific about what kind of blueprint this is. Because when you hear blueprint, you think of a house or maybe a business plan.
Something with structure.
Right, you think of structure. But the source material we have today, which is titled The Architect of Your Future, isn't a blueprint for a structure you can touch. It is, well, it's a blueprint for a life.
The architect of your future. I have to be honest with you, and I want to put this on the table right away. When I first saw that title, my immediate reaction was a little bit of an eye roll.
Oh, for sure. I get that completely.
It sounds like one of those motivational seminars where everyone wears a name tag and high-fives each other. It sounds like a cliche.
That is a completely fair reaction. The whole self-help industry is just saturated with titles like that. Build your dream, design your destiny.
Right.
It can all feel very fluffy. It can feel very soft.
Exactly, soft. I was expecting something like 5 Steps to a Happier Morning or How to Organize Your Desk for Success. But then I actually started reading the text, and about 3 paragraphs in, I realized I was wrong. This isn't soft. This is, well, it's actually kind of aggressive.
It is incredibly aggressive, and I think that's why it's worth our time today. This isn't a list of tips. It's a manifesto.
A manifesto. I like that word for it.
It's raw, it's direct, and it operates on a premise that I think most people are fundamentally uncomfortable with.
Which is?
The premise is that reality itself is aggressive. I mean, the argument here is that time is aggressive. It's constantly taking away your opportunities. Entropy is aggressive. Things fall apart if you don't actively hold them together. And so if you meet those aggressive forces with passivity or with that softness we talked about, you lose. The text argues that you have to meet aggression with aggression.
Wow. Okay, that is a heavy start. So we aren't just talking about hustle culture in the sense of, just working hard for money.
Not at all.
We are talking about a fundamental stance toward existence itself.
Precisely. This text treats high performance and personal accountability not as career strategies, but as a philosophy of existence. It uses the word grind, which I know we both usually hate because it's so overused on social media.
Oh, I loathe the word grind. It just makes me think of people posting pictures of their laptops at 4 a.m. with a cappuccino, trying to prove how busy they are.
It feels performative.
It's totally performative.
And the source material, I think, it implicitly agrees with you. It strips away that performance art of the grind and looks at the actual mechanics of it. It's not about looking busy. It's about the friction required to change a human being from one state to another.
Okay, let's get into the central metaphor here, because this is where the text really hooked me, despite my initial skepticism. It opens with this imagery of life as a construction project.
Right.
But it makes a very, very specific distinction about this construction site.
Yes, it does. If you visualize a normal construction site, what do you see? You see a foreman, you see an architect holding the plans.
A whole crew.
A whole crew. You see specialized laborers, electricians, plumbers, framers. You see a team.
You see a support system.
Exactly. But the source says, strip all of that away. In the construction project of your future, there is no crew. The text says, quite brutally, no one else is coming to build it for you.
That is the line that stopped me in my tracks. No one is coming.
It's the foundational premise of the entire document. You are the architect, yes, but you are also the foreman. You're the laborer mixing the cement. You are the guy carrying the bricks.
And the inspector.
And you are the inspector checking the work. You're everything.
That is terrifying. When you frame it like that, it feels incredibly lonely. And honestly, it feels overwhelming. I think most of us, deep down, are kind of waiting for someone to come help.
Of course.
We're waiting for a mentor or a lucky break or a boss who finally gets us.
We are waiting to be discovered. That is the great human fantasy. We think that if we are good people and we do our jobs well, eventually someone will knock on the door and say, I see your potential. Let me build the rest of your life for you.
And this text just smashes that fantasy with a sledgehammer.
It has to. Because as long as you are waiting for the crew to arrive, you aren't laying any bricks. You're just standing there.
Just waiting.
Just waiting. And the text poses a question implicitly throughout the whole piece. Why do some people live the life others only dream about? Why is there this massive gap between the dreamers and the doers?
And I'm assuming the answer isn't luck or, rich parents.
No. According to the architect of your future, it comes down to one word: hunger. And specifically, it says, people who are hungry today are willing to do what others won't.
Willing to do what others won't? I want to pause on that because we hear that phrase a lot, do what others won't. But what does that actually mean in practice? Are we talking about working 20 hours a day?
I don't think it's just about the volume of work. It's about the nature of the work. It's about a tolerance for discomfort,
A tolerance for
a
pain?
tolerance for pain. The barrier to entry for a great life, according to this text, isn't talent. It isn't your IQ. It isn't connections. It is the ability to endure the things that make other people quit.
So it's an endurance test.
It's a pain tolerance test.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the mission for this deep dive. We are going to try to dismantle what I like to call the waiting game. We're going to unpack the specific psychological shifts this text demands.
Right.
And I want to be clear to you, the listener. We are going to move from average, which the text claims you were not created for, to winning.
Right.
But we're going to do it by looking at the cost.
And just a heads up for everyone listening, this isn't going to be comfortable. If you're looking for validation that you're doing everything right and you just need a hug, this probably isn't the deep dive for you today. This source material is demanding.
It's demanding because it requires a death.
A death that's dramatic.
It is, but it's true. The source material makes it very clear that to get what you want, you have to sacrifice who you are.
Who you were.
Exactly. You have to sacrifice who you were to become who you were meant to be. It's a fundamental restructuring of your identity. You cannot take your old self into your new life. They just don't fit.
Okay, that is a massive concept, the idea that we have to kill our old selves. But before we get to the funeral, let's talk about the birth. Let's talk about starting. This leads us to part one, the myth of readiness.
The myth of readiness. This is where most dreams die. They die in the parking lot before the car even starts.
The text says it so explicitly, stop waiting to feel ready. And when I read that, I felt personally attacked. Because I am the king of waiting to be ready. I'm the guy who says, I'm going to start writing this script, but first I need to clean my office, and then I need to make coffee, and then I need to read the news to make sure I'm properly informed.
You're setting the stage.
I'm setting the stage, I'm procrastinating, I'm waiting for the vibe to be just right. I'm waiting for inspiration to strike me like a lightning bolt.
And that is exactly what the text calls a trap. We have this mental model of how human action works. We think the chain of events is inspiration leads to motivation.
And motivation leads to action.
Right.
I feel good, therefore I do good work. I feel energetic, therefore I go to the gym. That seems perfectly logical.
It seems logical, but it is biologically backward. The source argues that this model is fundamentally broken. If you wait for the feeling, you will wait forever. The high-performance model, the architect model, is action leads to motivation.
Action leads to motivation. So the feeling comes after the movement.
Think about the physics of it. Motivation isn't the fuel, it's the exhaust.
Oh, I like that. Motivation is the exhaust. That's a great way to put it.
You don't put exhaust in the tank to make the car go. You burn the fuel, which is effort, which is discipline, and the car moves. And then, as a byproduct of that movement, you get the feeling of flow. You get the feeling of motivation.
But let's play devil's advocate here for a second, because that sounds great on a podcast.
Okay.
But let's say you're listening to this and you are depressed, or you are burnt out, or you are just completely exhausted from your day job. You have zero fuel, your tank is empty. How are you supposed to just act when every single cell in your body is screaming, stop?
That is the critical question. And the text suggests that this is where the architect separates from the amateur. The amateur listens to the body, the architect commands it.
Commands it, like a drill sergeant. That sounds harsh.
Like an operator of a machine. The text implies that you have to develop a capability that's effectively an autonomic override. Your brain, your limbic system, the emotional center, is screaming, I'm tired, it's cold, let's watch Netflix.
Right, the familiar script.
That is a feeling. It's a chemical signal. But your motor functions, your arms, your legs, they aren't actually tired. They're just physics.
So your legs will move if you send the signal, regardless of how you feel about it.
Exactly. You have to bypass the emotional dashboard. You stop consulting your feelings for permission to act. You simply pull the lever. You treat your body like a meat robot for a minute.
A meat robot.
You send the code, stand up, walk to the door, open the book.
Wow. Meat robot.
That is a very, very unromantic way to look at life.
It is unromantic, but it is effective. The text says, action comes before motivation. You have to operate in the dark for a while. If you wait until you feel ready, you're giving your emotions veto power over your entire future. But emotions are they're weather.
They're weather. They're fickle. You cannot build a house based on the weather. You build it based on the plan.
And this connects to that one life reality check the text gives us. It says, this is your one life. No rehearsals, no excuses.
That's the urgency. And urgency is the only thing that really cuts through the waiting game. If you think of your life as a rehearsal, you can afford to procrastinate. You can say, well, I'll get serious next year. This year is just a practice run.
But the text is just screaming at you. The show has already started. The audience is seated. The lights are on.
And you're backstage looking for your script.
That is a genuine nightmare scenario.
It is. But it's meant to wake you up. No rehearsals.
Mm.
This urgency brings us to the antagonist of the story.
Yeah.
Every good story has a villain. In The Architect of Your Future, the villain isn't society. It isn't the economy. And it isn't your bad luck.
It's the comfort zone.
The comfort zone.
And I have to say, I have a very complicated relationship with this villain. Because the comfort zone is, well, it's comfortable.
Of course.
It's warm, it has streaming services and snacks, it's safe. Why do we cling to it so hard if we know intellectually that it's bad for us?
Because we are biologically wired to do so.
Yeah.
We have to understand that your brain, evolutionarily speaking, has one primary goal, survival. And to survive, you need to conserve energy and avoid risk. The comfort zone is the ultimate survival mechanism. It is homeostasis.
So when I sit on the couch instead of going to the gym, I'm not just being lazy, I'm being evolutionarily successful.
In a primitive sense, yes.
Yeah.
Your brain is giving you a high five. Good job, we are safe, we are conserving calories, we are safe from predators. But the text argues that you are not here just to survive.
You're here to build.
You are here to build. And the text says, quote, your dreams will never live inside your comfort zone.
And that's the conflict. Biology wants safety, but the spirit, or the architect, as the text calls it, wants growth.
And growth is dangerous. Growth is expensive.
Yeah.
Growth requires energy expenditure. So you are fighting your own biology every single day. The source says we all start in the same place, but the difference is a decision.
A decision.
A decision to declare war on your own comfort. Yeah. To leave the comfort zone is an act of aggression against the status quo. If you just float, the current takes you to average.
Average is the default.
Average is the default setting of the universe. It's the path of least resistance. You have to swim upstream to get anywhere else.
And swimming upstream is exhausting.
Which is precisely why the text says, stop waiting to feel ready. You are never going to feel ready to swim upstream. It's cold, the water is fast, and you're tired. You just have to jump in.
So we've established that we need to act before we feel like it. We've established that our own biology is kind of trying to keep us average. Now, I want to move to the second part of our discussion. This is where the rubber meets the road. We're calling this the economics of the future.
Economics is absolutely the right word, because this text views the future not as a gift, but as a purchase.
The quote that stood out to me here was, your future is expensive. Pay the price now.
Let's analyze that word expensive. Usually when we think of an expensive future, we think about money. We think about 401ks, compound interest, saving up for a down payment.
Financial capital?
Right. But the source isn't talking about dollars.
No, the currency here is something much more personal, much more painful, I guess.
The currency is comfort. The currency is your current self. The text is essentially saying that the life you want has a price tag, and you cannot pay it with Bitcoin. You pay it with sweat, you pay it with sacrifice, and you pay it with the refusal to indulge in immediate gratification.
Okay, now, we have to talk about one specific line in the text that actually made me angry. I literally put the paper down and walked away for a second.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's the sleep quote.
The sleep quote.
Those extra 15 minutes of sleep are not worth your entire future.
Yes.
When I read that, my immediate reaction was, come on. Really? We have all this science telling us sleep is vital. We have hustle culture burnout everywhere. People are collapsing from exhaustion.
It's a huge topic right now.
Is this text seriously telling people to sleep deprive themselves to be successful? Is it just another version of sleep when you're dead?
It's a completely valid pushback. If you read this superficially, it sounds like toxic, outdated advice. Don't sleep, just work. But let's look closer at the phrasing. It doesn't say don't sleep. It says those extra 15 minutes.
You mean the snooze button minutes?
Exactly. The text is targeting the snooze button. And I think this is a crucial distinction. It's not an attack on biological rest. It's an attack on the
The
negotiation.
negotiation. What do you mean by that?
What happens in those 15 minutes between the first alarm and the second alarm? Are you getting quality REM sleep?
No, of course not. It's that weird, drifty, anxious sleep. You're just delaying the inevitable. You know you have to get up.
Right. It's avoidance. The source argues that those 15 minutes are a microcosm of your entire life. Think about it. The alarm goes off. That is a contract you made with yourself the night before. You said, I will get up at 6 a.m. At 6 a.m., the contract is due.
And hitting snooze is a breach of contract.
It's a breach of contract with yourself. You are starting your day with a defeat. You are signaling to your subconscious that your momentary comfort, the warm blanket, is higher on the value hierarchy than your ambition.
So you're starting the day in a deficit. You're starting with a loss on the scoreboard, 0 to 1, and it's not even 6.01.
Exactly. And the text argues that if you lose the battle of the bed, you are far more likely to lose the battle of the gym and the battle of the diet and the battle of the difficult email. It's all about momentum.
So the cost isn't the sleep itself.
No, the cost is your integrity. You broke a promise to yourself 30 seconds into the day. That is an incredibly expensive 15 minutes.
That puts a different spin on it. It's not about biology, it's about psychology. It's
Yeah.
about self-trust.
It's about self-trust, and it's about the Monday through Sunday mentality. The text says, give everything you've got Monday through Sunday.
That's another intense one. We live in a world that preaches work-life balance. We talk about lazy Sundays, self-care days.
Right, unplugging.
And here's this text saying, no, Monday through Sunday, give everything. Is there no room for rest in the architect's life?
I don't think the text forbids rest, but it forbids disconnection.
What's the difference?
Disconnection is escapism. It's the weekend warrior mentality, where you suffer through Monday to Friday just so you can turn your brain off and numb yourself on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
You are trying to escape your life.
Right, TGIF.
PGIF. The architect doesn't want to escape their life. They are actively building it.
So even the rest is purposeful.
Yes. You rest so you can build better on Monday. You don't rest to forget who you are. The text is arguing against the compartmentalization of work me versus real me. It demands integration. You are the architect 7 days a week. You don't take the costume off.
That's a great analogy. If you're building a house and you just walk away from the site for 2 days every week and let it rain on the exposed frame,
The house is going to rot.
the house is going to rot.
You are building constantly, and this leads to the ultimate cost mentioned in the text. We talked about sacrificing sleep, sacrificing comfort. But the deepest sacrifice is this: sacrificing who you used to become who you're meant to be.
This is the identity shift.
It is. And it is the most painful sacrifice by far, because we are attached to who we are. Even if who we are isn't successful, even if who we are is unhappy, it's familiar. It's the devil we know.
So the architect of your future is asking us to, it sounds like it's asking us to kill off the old version of ourselves.
Yes. Think of it as a grieving process. You have to mourn the old you, the version of you that likes to binge watch TV for 6 hours. That person has to die. The version of you that plays the victim when things go wrong.
Yeah.
That person has to die. The version of you that breaks promises to yourself.
That person has to die. It sounds violent.
Growth is violent. It's destructive. You are breaking out of a shell. You cannot drag your old self into your new future. They don't fit through the door. You have to choose. Do I want the history or do I want the potential? The text argues you can't have both.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. That's the promise. But let's talk more about the not easy part, because the text does not sugarcoat the difficulty at all. This leads us to part 3, the crucible of growth.
The crucible. I like that. The text is very, very realistic about pain. It doesn't promise a rose garden. It promises a battlefield.
It redefines failure in a way that I found really empowering, but also incredibly challenging. It says, failure is only permanent if you refuse to stand back up.
This is a classic resilience mindset, but the source takes it a step further. It pairs this with the idea of digging deeper. It says, when you feel empty, dig deeper. There's more inside you.
That idea of emptiness is interesting because when we feel empty, our instinct is to stop.
Right.
We think, I have nothing left, I'm done, the tank is dry.
Right. We treat our energy like a gas tank in a car. When the needle hits E, the car stops. It's hard limit. But the source argues that the E on the human dashboard is a lie.
A lie.
Or at least it's a safety mechanism, not a true limit.
So when you think you're done, you're actually just at the threshold of a new reserve of energy.
Exactly. This is the physiological concept of the second wind. Or what you hear from Navy SEALs, they call it the 40% rule. When your mind says you're done, you're only 40% done. The text implies that your potential is a reservoir that you can only access through exhaustion.
Wait, explain that. You can only access it through exhaustion.
Think of it like a video game, where a secret level only unlocks after you defeat the main boss. You have to burn through the superficial energy, the easy energy, to get to the deep power.
Okay.
If you stop every time you feel tired, you never break through that floor. You never find out what you're actually capable of. You just bounce off the ceiling, your comfort zone, over and over and over again.
That connects directly to the quote. Pressure doesn't destroy you, it reveals you.
And run toward difficulty. That is the instruction. Don't run from difficulty. Run toward it.
That is so counterintuitive. In our modern lives, we spend so much money and so much effort trying to remove friction. We buy conveniences, we avoid awkward conversations, we take the easy route. We treat stress as a pathogen.
And by treating stress as a pathogen, we are atrophying our character. The text argues that character is a muscle. How do you build a muscle? You put it under tension. You literally tear the fibers.
Greatness is built in discomfort.
If you want to know who you really are, look at how you act when everything is going wrong.
That's the revelation. When things are easy, anyone can look like a winner. Anyone can look like a great architect when the sun is shining and all the materials are arriving on time.
But when it rains, and the foundation cracks, and the crew quits, that's when the real architect shows up. That is when you see what you're made of.
And this brings us to what I think is the most practical mental model in the entire text, the concept of the two pains.
Yes, this is the framework you need to put on your fridge.
It's so simple and so powerful. Discipline hurts, but regret hurts more.
It's a choice of suffering. The text is telling you, you are going to suffer. That is a guarantee. Life is painful. Being human is painful. You cannot opt out of pain.
Yeah.
But you can choose which pain you carry.
Okay, let's visualize this for the listener. On the left hand, you have the pain of discipline. What does that look like? What does it feel like?
It is sharp. It is immediate. It is the alarm going off at 5 a.m. It is the burning in your lungs when you run. It is the awkwardness of saying no to a drink when you're trying to stay focused. It stings. It's acute.
And on the right hand, you have the pain of regret.
That pain is different. It's not sharp. It's dull. It's heavy. It's a chronic ache. It's the pain of looking back in 10 years and wondering, what if? It's the pain of seeing someone else living the life you were supposed to live and knowing you didn't do it because you wanted to sleep in.
The source explicitly says, choose the pain that builds you, not the pain that breaks you.
And that's the key distinction. Discipline builds you. You wake up sore, but you are stronger. Regret breaks you. It erodes your soul. It makes you bitter. It makes you hollow.
So if you're listening and you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to do this because it's going to be hard, just remember, not doing it is also going to be hard. It's just a different kind of hard, a worse kind of hard down the road.
Pick your poison, but pick the one that has a cure at the end.
Now, we've talked about the external actions, the waking up, the working, the suffering, but the text dedicates a huge amount of space to what's happening inside your head. This is part 4, the internal enemy.
This is crucial because you can do all the motions. You can wake up early, you can go to the gym, but if your mind is sabotaging you, if the software is corrupted, the hardware doesn't matter.
The text says, your only real competition is who you were yesterday. And then it gives a command, stop comparing.
Why is comparison so toxic, according to this architect mindset? Because it shifts your focus outward. It breaks your concentration.
Others may look like they're winning, the text says.
But it warns that this is often an illusion. If you're losing inside, none of it matters. We live in the age of the highlight reel. You go on Instagram, you see someone who's 22 years old, a millionaire with perfect abs on a yacht in Dubai.
And you look at your own life, eating cereal for dinner, and you think, I'm garbage, I'm a failure.
Exactly. And the moment you think that, you stop building. You stop laying bricks. You start looking at their building instead of laying your own bricks. The source demands that you turn your gaze inward. The battle is linear. It's you versus you.
It sounds so simple, but it's incredibly hard to do. Be better than yesterday. That's the only metric that matters.
If you laid 10 bricks yesterday and you lay 11 today, you are winning. Even if the guy next to you laid 100, you are winning your game.
But the mind is a tricky opponent. It doesn't just compare, it talks back. It argues.
It does. It negotiates constantly. And this is where the text introduces what I call the call and response technique. It's almost military in its application.
When your mind says not yet, you say now.
When it says 5 more minutes, you say get up.
I love this because it creates a separation. It treats the mind not as you, but as a separate entity, a subordinate, a lazy employee even.
Yes, this is a form of dualism.
Yeah.
There is the you, that is the command of the will, the spirit, the architect. And then there is the mind, which is often just a survival machine trying to get out of work.
We identify with our thoughts too much.
We do. We think, oh, I'm thinking I'm tired, so I must be tired. We treat our thoughts as facts.
We do.
The source says, no, your thoughts are suggestions, and usually they are bad suggestions coming from the part of you that wants comfort. You have to discipline your own thoughts the way you would discipline that lazy employee.
Silence every negative thought. That implies a level of vigilance that is exhausting just to think about, to catch every single negative thought.
It is exhausting. It's mental combat. But remember the principle. Action comes before motivation. You don't negotiate with the mind. You overrule it. You don't try to reason your anxiety away.
So you don't sit there and say, now look, brain, here are the 3 logical reasons why we should go for a run.
No, because the brain will win that argument. The brain is smarter than you. It will find a loophole. It'll say, but your knee hurts a little bit and it's going to rain later and you didn't sleep well.
So what do?
You shut it down. You say rise. You say grind. You say move. You drown out the doubt with the noise of your own action. Fear disappears when action begins. That's the mechanic. You can't think your way out of fear. You can only act your way out of it.
That is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Action as a silencer.
It works. Try it. Next time you are scared to send a difficult email, don't sit and think about it. Just hit send. The fear vanishes the moment the action is irrevocable.
Let's talk about the execution of this then. Part 5. The daily grind. We've got the mindset, we've accepted the cost, we've silenced the internal enemy. What does the actual work look like?
It looks like rise and grind. But again, let's be careful with that phrase. We aren't talking about mindless repetition. The text specifies. Study your work, improve your craft, show up better every day.
That's a quality standard. It's not just work hard, it's work smart and work better.
It's mastery. The architect of your future isn't just slapping bricks together haphazardly. They are studying the art of laying bricks.
Yeah.
They're refining their technique. If you're just grinding without improvement, you aren't building a future. You're just digging a hole.
Show up better every day. That's the metric. It implies a constant feedback loop, a constant self-assessment.
Kaizen, continuous improvement. You have to be a student of your own life, your own craft.
But the source also acknowledges that this process is messy. It's not a straight lineup. It says not every day will be easy, not every plan will work.
I found that line surprisingly comforting in such a hardcore text. It admits that plans fail. It admits that you can do everything right and still have a bad day.
It has to, because that's reality. Things will fall apart. That is a direct quote. Life will push back. People will doubt you. The text is preparing you for the inevitable chaos. It's telling you, expect resistance.
If you expect the road to be smooth, the first pothole will break your axle. If you expect the road to be rough, you build a better suspension system.
And what is the coping mechanism it offers? When the plan fails, when the people doubt you, when the walls come tumbling down, what do you do?
Breathe in, breathe out. This is your moment.
That's surprisingly zen for such an aggressive text.
It is, but it's a warrior's zen. It's not the zen of let go and float. It's the zen of the samurai in the middle of a battle. It's the calm in the center of the storm.
It's realizing that the chaos isn't assigned to stop. It's the environment in which you are supposed to work.
Exactly. It's always darkest before the dawn. That cliche is in there for a reason. The text uses it to remind you that the maximum point of resistance usually comes right before the breakthrough.
But something is always happening. That line stuck with me. Even when it feels like nothing is moving, like you're just spinning your wheels.
This is the bamboo analogy. You know how bamboo grows.
I do, but tell the listener. It's a great one.
You plant the seed. You water it. For 5 years, you see nothing. Literally nothing breaks the soil. You are just watering dirt. It looks like a total failure. But underground, a massive, complex root system is developing.
Right.
And then, in the 5th year, it shoots up 90 feet in 6 weeks.
So the text is saying, you are in the root phase. Most of life is the root phase.
Yes. The work you do in the dark, when no one is coming to build your future, is the root system. You can't see the results yet. Your bank account hasn't changed yet. Your body hasn't changed yet. But the roots are spreading. If you stop watering the dirt because you don't see the tree, you kill the future.
You have to have faith in the mechanics of growth.
Faith in the grind. Faith that action always yields a result. eventually.
And ultimately, this all circles back to the very first point we touched on, the decision.
That choice is yours alone. The text emphasizes radical autonomy, radical ownership.
And this brings us to the no excuses policy. You cannot blame your parents. You cannot blame the economy. You cannot blame your boss. We all start in the same place, but the difference is a decision.
Now, obviously, we don't literally all start in the same place socioeconomically. The text is speaking metaphorically about the human condition. We all start with time. We all start with a choice of how to use that time today.
That's empowering, but it's also incredibly heavy. It means if you aren't where you want to be, you have to look in the mirror. There's no one else to point to.
That is the price of admission to this life. You get to take 100% of the credit for your success, but you also have to take 100% of the blame for your stagnation. You can't have one without the other.
You can't say, I built this when it's good, and then they ruin this when it's bad.
No. And it culminates in this idea, this almost theological statement. You were not created to be average. You were created to win.
That's a bold claim.
It is. It posits that mediocrity is a deviation from your design. You were designed for high performance.
Yeah.
So when you settle for average, you are actually malfunctioning. You're betraying your own architecture.
Malfunctioning. That puts a different spin on just chilling on the couch. It frames it not as relaxing, but as breaking down.
It raises the stakes. It makes average unacceptable. And that is the goal of the manifesto, to make your current state of comfort so uncomfortable that you are forced to move. They want to make you allergic to your own mediocrity.
So let's bring this all home. What does this all mean for you listening right now? We've covered a lot. We've talked about the myth of readiness, the cost of the future, the necessity of pain, the internal war, and the daily grind.
If we boil it all down, the architect mindset is a triad. Number one, action creates motivation. Stop waiting to feel good. Just turn the key.
Right.
Number two, comfort is the enemy. You must pay for your future by sacrificing your present pleasures. The future is expensive. Pay the bill today. And number three, the battle is won or lost in your mind. You must override your own biology. You must choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret.
And remembering, above all else, the central hook that started this whole thing, no one is coming.
And no one is coming. If you want the building built, you have to pick up the hammer. If the site is empty, it's because you haven't shown up to work.
The text ends with a final charge. So wake up, get up, stay hungry.
Fear disappears when action begins. That is the final truth. As long as you're lying in bed thinking about the cold floor, you are afraid. The moment your feet hit the floor, the fear vanishes and the work begins.
This is your time. This is your life, and it's time to rise and grind.
It's a call to arms, a call to life.
So I want to leave you with a thought to mull over as you go about your day. We talked about how your future is expensive and you have to pay the price now. I want you to look at your last 24 hours. Just scan through them in your head. Every action you took was a transaction. Did you make a deposit toward your dream? Or did you make a withdrawal from your potential? Did you buy 15 minutes of sleep at the cost of your momentum? Did you buy an hour of TV at the cost of improving your craft?
The bank is always open, and the balance sheet is yours and yours alone.
That's it for this deep dive. Go be the architect. We'll see you next time.